must admit, I'm used to the extended members intro now. So before I take the final puff of my vape, I'm always coughing at the last second because intro's about to finish. But anyway, hello everybody. Welcome along to the Afternoon Rabble here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast, part of the Rabble Network and the Talk Sport Fan Network as well. I say it every day, and I mean it most of the time. I hope you're all well. Joining me today is, of course, Mr. Tank Top himself, Mr. William Irwin. Willie, how are we?
I'm not long home from work, so I am kind of rushing here to get everything ready to go.
Listen, that means nothing, right? Folk are thinking, oh, he's not got a lot to talk about. Oh, well, this will be a short show. It's never a short show when Willie Irwin's involved, let me tell you. But Willie, actually, and hello everybody, please like, share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Get your comments in. Any questions, just start with Q full stop and then get your questions in so I know what ones to start to bring up. But Willie, there's a few things happening. Rangers linked to another centre back as well. However, what I wanted to talk to you about first was something that me and you spoke about over WhatsApp, which was in terms of getting players out. The one player who kept coming up was Rabbi Matondo.
Yeah.
And I says to you about my worries about getting rid of players, especially like Rabbi, who have barely played, who went out on loan and failed, who are on a particularly good wage.
Yeah.
In nowadays standards, the difficulties of getting rid of him. But you're not too worried about it, are you?
No, because I think when you look at somebody like Rabbi, yeah, he's on a decent wage, but I don't think that would stop like an English Championship club showing any interest. And also from the other point of view, I don't imagine Rangers are going to be particularly difficult to deal with when it comes to some of these players, especially ones that are in the final year of their contract. So yeah, I think for somebody like Rabbi, it's more maybe where he wants to go, whether it's back out to Europe again. But I think it's more likely he ends up back in England somewhere in the Championship. And even if it's a loan where they take most of his wages for the rest of the season until his contract runs out, or he leaves for a free or a small fee. Because Rangers aren't going to take much in for Rabbi, let's be honest about it. That's just how it is.
Do you think Rabbi's one of those players, Willie, that Rangers would say, look, just give us a couple of $100,000 and just pay his wages? Do you think we're at that point with Rabbi, or do you think Rangers would still be? Because we've seen with Dessers, we've seen with Agaman, all right, different types of players to Rabbi, different.
Yeah.
They offer more to the team. I get that. But do you think the club are looking at Rabbi and going, no, we want a set amount for him? Or do you think it will just be a case of, look, we'll just accept what we get?
No, I'm sure in their mind they would like to get a certain amount of money, but I think there's also a sense of realism with a player that's in like the last year of his contract. He's not exactly done a huge amount during his time at Rangers. His loan spell last season in the second half wasn't exactly great either. He's obviously returned. I just don't see a future for Rabbi at the end of the day, and I think that's one of the reasons why is, as long as there's a good offer on the table, or it's just to take all of his wages and leave in a free, I think you'll find he'll go. Because part of the reason for moving these players on is some of the wages. You could argue you've got guys like Rabbi Matondo, Kieran Dowell, Ben Davies, Cifuentes. There's probably there 4 or 5 guys there, Red Van, etc. You're wanting to clear those wages so that that money can be used in a better way. At the moment, we've still got a very, very big squad. I mean, I think I looked at it. It was either yesterday or the day before. I was trying to work out the squad numbers, and I think we're over 30 players at the moment. So that's a lot of players at the football club. Obviously, some of those guys have come back from loans last season. Then obviously you add in the signings we've already made. It is more about freeing up wages, as Craig's saying there. I mean, that's got to be the priority. Obviously, with certain players, it's not just about clearing the wages. Obviously, we want a good fee if we do sell a Dessers or an Eagleman or a Raskin or a Diamande. But for some of these others that are just almost sitting in the sidelines, you want to kind of get those wages off the wage bill as quickly as possible.
You mentioned Kieran Dowell there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Russell Martin likes Kieran Dowell? He's played in both the one friendly and the one bounce game. He's appearing in most of the training videos. Do you think Kieran Dowell's a player that Russell Martin's looking at? And this isn't what I think, and I'm sure this isn't what you think, but do you think there's a possibility that Kieran Dowell's a player that Russell Martin's going, No, I can get a tune out of him.
I suppose if you don't see training every day, we really don't know. I mean, the fact that he's played in the games that have been kind of put out there by Rangers would suggest that at the moment he's somebody that he would like to keep. But it might also be that at the moment, because we've not been able to get in some of the players we would like to, they're going to keep a hold of him until such times as he can be replaced. So at the moment, we're kind of guessing on that one. And yet again, I think Kieran's in the last year of his contract. So it'll be interesting yet again if there's maybe championship clubs out there that be showing interest in him and if Rangers would let him go. Because at the end of the day, he obviously came in as a Bosman. So he didn't actually cost us a transfer fee. But I would imagine yet again he would want a reasonable wage. So yet again, I would imagine Rangers would want to try and clear those wages as well if they possibly could.
And by the way, just quickly going back to Matondo, this point for Norman on Facebook. Nobody's going to pay for him to lie on a treatment table. That's a fair point because, we speak about Matondo not quite a lot anymore, but when we did, it was all about how he wasn't really that influential in games. He went missing. He didn't really offer much, barring the odd one or two bits of real quality that he showed, the one against Celtic for the free draw and stuff. We very rarely mention the fact that he's got a dreadful injury record.
I think it's more about, there'll be managers out there that will still see something in him. Because he's still reasonably young. He does have certain attributes that maybe certain managers will think, he would be a really good fit for my team. And that's how, that's how football works. I mean, I'm sure people could look back at some of the players that we've signed and think, why the hell did we sign that guy? But it's because the manager liked him or it's because the recruitment staff liked him. And as a supporter, sometimes you might not necessarily see what he brings to the team early on. And then also there's just other guys that just don't really do it. And you would have to say that Kieran Dowell hasn't really shown a great deal at Rangers. Rabbi Matondo's had small good games, you would have to say, but they have been kind of few and far between. I still think there will be interest in Rabbi. I genuinely don't think he's one of those guys that won't have interest in him. Because at the end of the day, even if Rangers had to loan him out until the end of his contract, I think Rangers would do that if they had to.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. If they get the wages off the bill and he's loaned out, then that's exactly what they would do. Just a wee couple of off-topic things, Willie. First of all, long-serving Rangers goalkeeping coach Colin Stewart has today been announced by Liverpool as the goalkeeper development and pathway lead. I know most people in the comments will go, he's not at Rangers anymore, I don't care. But he was at Rangers for a long, long time. Well, that's a good move for him.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's no doubt he was a good goalkeeping coach. I don't think anybody could say otherwise. But I think, again, sometimes it's good just to have a fresh start. And it's good to have fresh faces in there, a fresh voice. But look, that's a really good move for him. I think also going back to working maybe with the academy players is a good thing for him. Obviously he might now work with 16 to 21-year-olds, trying to develop them into first-team goalkeepers, help them improve and all that. So, great move for him. And, he obviously did a lot of good work for Rangers. Look, we move on because at the end of the day, as a football club, a lot of people come and go, don't they? It's not to say they don't still support the club and they don't care, but it's kind of one of those things. Once you leave Rangers, do people care as much? And I think that's just how it is sometimes.
You were just going to let me carry on there, Willie, weren't you? That was shocking behaviour. They've kept Gio as well, so it's like they've obviously seen something in Gio and Colin. Never mind from just their time at Rangers, but it's weird that we would consider Gio to be a failure. I think, even though he got us to a Europa League final, etc., etc. But there's obviously something there.
Well, I think there's obviously a friendship there between, the current Liverpool manager and Gio, which I think obviously is part of that. And at the end of the day, I think Gio showed a lot of, sort of smarts in terms of his tactical awareness, especially in those European games. We beat some high-class football teams to get to that final. And we were obviously unlucky in the final. When you lose out in penalties, it's obviously, that's not something the manager can do anything about. But look, I think there's no...
Aaron Ramsey.
I know. I think the thing is, if somebody like Gio was always going to get another job, it was just obviously when it was going to be, what it was going to be. In the end, the opportunity to go to Liverpool has been a really good one for him. In terms of Colin Stewart, I'm sure he had a lot of different offers after leaving Rangers. Maybe this job just suits him best. And it's probably a bit like the guys who end up at Rangers as well, some of these coaches. You look at like the lad Williamson that's come in under Russell Martin. He could have probably stayed in England and continued to be a manager. And he's obviously, come in as a coach. But I think it's just one of those things. Like, people will always come and go at football clubs. There's always going to be turnarounds every other season, whether it's on the medical side or the analytics side. You see physios and doctors sort of moving on every other year. It just is what it is.
Yeah. JD, the year is... I'm glad that people think I'll still be doing this in 2037. And Martin has missed the mute button that much. Everyone in the comments has learned how to lip read.
It's impressive.
I mean, if I'm still doing this in 2037, well, then I'm doing something right. So I'm happy with that.
Mate, if I'm still here in 2037, I'll be quite happy. Never mind doing a podcast.
I know. By the way, we're a laughing joke, right? 12 years is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right, anyway, Wally. Former Rangers player.
Right.
Suffered very, very badly with injuries. From Liverpool. Has today signed for Waterford FC.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. Can you believe, right, that Jordan Rossiter is only 28?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a long, long time ago that he played for us. I mean, look, I think the weird thing is, even when we actually signed him, everybody could see the quality the kid had at that point, but he'd suffered so many injuries. That was always the fear. But there's no doubt, see, like when he was fit, he's a higher standard than Waterford. The kid was, like a very good talent at a young age. But yeah, again, just like in football and every man, you need a bit of luck at times, don't you? And injuries have really curtailed his career. And look, if that's going to be where his level is going to be for the next few years, and it's going to earn them, the wages that he requires to look after him and his family, then that's all that matters. But yeah, there's no doubt Jordan Rossiter, probably 10 years ago, was maybe one of the most sought after young players in England. But yeah, again, like injuries, loss of form, maybe clubs not sort of willing to take that risk on somebody that's had that many injuries. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like Offerbor, isn't it? When we obviously signed him, he obviously had the heart issues, never really played for the club, moved back down to England. I think it was League One. And it's tough, isn't it? Like, you do need luck in football for all the ability you have, which obviously is paramount. You also need luck when it comes to these type of things, especially the injuries that somebody like Rossiter had.
And you could actually see on the very few occasions that he was on the park for us, he was a level above the SPFL. He was a cracking player. Yeah,
look, he had a good engine, didn't he? He could go up and down the pitch. He was very tenacious in the tackle. I remember him scoring, I think it was at Easter Road. It might have been the 5-5 game, actually.
It was.
He scored. And look, see, at the end of the day, as I say, he's just been extremely unlucky with injury, but you could say that about a lot of players that's played football over the years.
Yeah. He never played as good a pass as Scott Allen, though.
Oh my God. I know that is literally one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in football. I mean, see, the thing is, like, you watch football for a long, long time in your life, obviously, and like I've probably seen that pass like thousands of times, but for some reason that particular pass with Scott Allen just seemed to grow arms and legs and became a thing. But in reality, probably seen thousands of better passes than that in my lifetime. But look, it is what it is. It's just Scottish football for you.
Just mental. Right, well, the Rangers are linked with another centre-back. Before we come to him, though, because I think this ties in a wee bit, a question for Jordy. Is 1.5 million enough for Souttar? Surely he's worth more than that. Would he, be worth more than 1.5 million if he didn't have a year left on his contract? So if we had another 3 years left on Souttar and somebody wanted him, would you expect more than 1.5 million for him?
I would still expect more than that for him now, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, look, it's a difficult one with John, isn't it? Yeah, again, another player that's in the last year of his contract. It looked like he was going to get a new contract, but obviously there's been a change of ownership, new director of football, etc. Maybe people have got different views on a new contract for him. Maybe the talks are still ongoing. Obviously, we don't know these things, but I like John Souttar. I think he ticks quite a few of the boxes for us. I know that I think there was a debate the other day there on Twitter saying every year we go on about we need Scottish players, but like, so when it comes to Europe, we do, and they need to be of a decent enough standard that they can come in and play if there is injuries, because at the end of the day, like, we can only select so many non-Scottish players in that European squad, and then also what we've also done is hold back young players from going out on loan just so they can sit on the bench in Europe, which should stop them developing and improving as young players. So we need to find a kind of middle ground with it. And to me, giving Souttar a new contract's a no-brainer. He's somebody that knows the league. He's a good player. He's a Scottish international. You know, he came in as a free transfer, a Bosnia, whatever you want to say. And I think giving him a new deal is a no-brainer as long as it's within the wages that Rangers are comfortable with paying him for the next maybe 3 years or 4 years, depending on what kind of deal it would be for him.
Is it not just worth giving him a new deal, Willie, in terms of if another club does want him, then we can ask for more money? Even if you, because I'm pretty sure it's happened 1,000 times, Willie, right? Where maybe a guy's got 18 months left, a year left of his deal, right?
Yeah.
And the club knows that other teams are interested. So they'll go to the player and they'll say, look, can we put you on a new contract? But I promise you, if a bid comes in, even 2 days after you've signed your new deal, if it's acceptable and we'll agree a price between us right now, then we'll sell you. But it just gives us a bit more money as well.
I mean, like, you only need to look at somebody like Lennon Muller. He's obviously going to sign a new contract, and he might have already signed that new contract so that allowed Motherwell to get a higher fee for him. In terms of John Souttar, I think it's slightly different. I think John is still a strong member of the squad, and I still think having him in and around is not a bad thing. Yes, we probably will sign another.
Is he a starter?
You would have to say with the players that we've signed right now, yes, it's probably him that starts with Giga. I still think starting Fernandez against Panathinaikos would be a big ask, given he's just came from League One. So I would imagine it's going to be Souttar and Giga. Unless we sign another centre half in the next couple of days, or even up until, like, we can register 2 players up until the day before the game. So that would be, yet again, a big ask, unless it's somebody that's highly experienced who would be comfortable coming into play. But I would imagine, looking at the Panathinaikos game, as it currently stands right now, I would imagine Souttar starts that game.
Well, it's just what Paul. I'll try and get my words out in English next time, right? Apologies, folks. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, please do give it a like, the show a like, and also if you haven't, make sure that you're subscribed as well. I'm coming out my sick bed to provide you with the best content there's ever been throughout the history of YouTube and telly. So the least you can do is hit that like button and subscribe, and make sure you're following us across all socials. Links are in the description. Because it was that comment I seen for Paul Willie that maybe he's been told he's going to be back up. We don't know. We obviously we don't know anything that's going on right now inside St George's.
No, I just feel when you look at what we've currently got there, I mean, it looks pretty clear that, you know, Robin Proper is going to be leaving the football club. Whether that's today, tomorrow, in the coming days, it looks as though he's going to go. Leon King, it looks like, is on the outside looking in, so he's not going to start. Fernandez, as I say, he's just came from a League One club in England. To throw him in against a really good Panathinaikos team who are probably full internationals would be a big ask. Mm-hmm. Giga has that experience. For all he's only 22, he's already got experience of playing in the Champions League. You know, he's played in a hostile environment at Red Star Belgrade. I think, as most people will have seen over the years, that can be a hostile environment. So playing against Panathinaikos, I don't think would be too much a concern to him. So I say, unless we do add somebody in the next couple of days, I can only see John Souttar starting that game unless something does change massively.
Well, could that person, Willie, be Javi Bayamba? That's my best
God.
That's my best attempt. Javi Bayamba.
I was waiting for that. I knew I was going to kick off as soon as you said that.
Yes. Well,
I mean, it's interesting. Look, he's still a young guy, clearly. I think it says he's 23. I was trying to take wee notes quickly before I jumped on. Look, there's no doubt this guy is somebody that's got real quality about him. But obviously, when you read some of the stuff online, he's obviously had issues with his heart, a bit like the same problems with Goldstein. But he seems to tick a lot of the boxes. He's big, you know, he's got that physicality, he's strong. Seems like he's a good ball player as a centre half. He's played a reasonable amount of football, given he's had these issues with his heart. And yeah, if it's a knockdown fee of €500,000, it does seem like a no-brainer looking from the outside, doesn't it?
Well, it was somebody in the comments of the morning phone-in who says to me, who said in the comments, is $500,000, does that feel right for a first team player at Rangers if you're buying them? It's different if you get them on a free transfer, they're out of contract or whatever. But £500,000, is that really the market that we should be shopping in? And it made me think because with the new owners and stuff coming in, we're looking at things and going, right, we've got this money now. We're going to go out and spend, what was it, $2.5 million on Fernandes. We're going to go out and spend $4 million, I think it was, on Asgard. It's $500,000 a fee that we should be paying.
But then again, they might see that as great value, though. Maybe he's worth more than that to somebody. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about Souttar only having a year left in his contract. This guy's in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
So clubs might be a bit cheeky here. Like possible that Volendam want more than €500,000. I know somebody said that Fabrizio Romano had put that out there. So unless Volendam have told Romano, look, we're only looking for €500,000 to try and entice other clubs to get involved in it. But I think it's one of those ones. I mean, I read a bit, I think it was Kai that had posted on Twitter. He obviously does a lot of the analytics stuff. He was saying he would probably be worth 10 times that amount if he hadn't had like the problems with his heart. He'd have probably played a lot more. He would have probably played at a higher level quicker. So Rangers might just see this as an opportunity to bring somebody in to help them kind of move on in their career, and then within a year or two, they can maybe sell them for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million, and that's got to be part of the business model, mate. Moving forward, that has to be it, because we don't bring in enough money in Scottish football through television revenue. So unless you're in Europe every year and doing well, you've got to bring players in at a lower fee and sell them on at a much higher one.
Yeah, but also he has to come in and be part of the first team setup, regardless of whether it's $500,000 or it's 5 million. Especially if Souttar goes, because if we bring this boy on and Souttar doesn't go, then you've still got Ben Davies sitting in the background as well collecting a wage.
Yeah, of course. So that is an issue. Yeah, that is an issue. That's the
only way. It's the only way, Willie, that I see us bringing this guy in is if Souttar goes.
Well, I think it's also on the other side if Proper goes. If Proper goes, you need to replace him. Yeah, well, a Proper goes, you need to replace him. They might see this guy as an ideal fit. He's 8 years younger than Proper. They might see him as better value. They might see him as somebody they can help improve. And there's got to be a resale value in there. That was always going to be the problem with signing Robin Proper. There was never going to be a huge resale value on him. You were always likely going to get, at the very most, your money back. But realistically, you were going to lose money on him because of the age when we signed him. Whereas when you look at this lad, he kind of ticks the boxes, doesn't he? He's 23. He's obviously got a reasonable amount of experience for that age. If it wasn't for the problems that he's obviously had, with his heart and stuff. I mean, like, you look at his actual career. He started off at Barcelona, which isn't a bad place to start off with. He'd a move to Chelsea, where yet again some of these issues obviously were raised. He then obviously plays for Maastricht and then Volendam. So he's had that experience. And then, I think it says he's played 75 games for Volendam. So a bit like maybe the thing with Goldson, he's hopefully been tested enough that he feels more comfortable with the issues that he's had. Mm-hmm. Because look, at the end of the day, there's always going to be concern with anybody that's had problems with their heart, whether they've had something fitted or whether they're just obviously, getting more medical checks. But when you look at somebody that's that age, he's played a reasonable amount of games, he's played at a reasonable level, he was obviously highly sought after at a younger age. Rangers might just see this as a good way of ticking boxes in terms of, if this guy can come in, do really well, what's the worst that's going to happen? Rangers are going to make money on him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So that's going, and it's the same with Asgard. Rangers obviously see Asgard. Obviously, he's got talent, he's got quality that they like. He's obviously recently became a full international. So from Rangers' point of view, if this guy can kick on here, Rangers are going to look to double, treble, quadruple their money.
Aye.
So
is the way we need to go.
Yeah, and it is, mate. I get that not every player's going to be that. We are going to sign some experienced players, 28 and above, maybe 29, 30, because you do need that within your squad. But I think in the main, we will be a younger squad moving forward. We will be under 23, 24, 25 in the main. And I think a lot of these guys that will be about helping them improve, hopefully playing in the Champions League, which is going to be obviously a massive test if we do. Obviously, being successful in Scotland's obviously the biggest part of that. And if guys are doing well and we can move them on, it then just makes it far, far easier to bring players in.
Yeah,
you know,
it really does. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, like, hopefully, if this story's true, it'll be interesting to see if the Rangers do try and bring him in. I mean, that's the big thing.
Well, there's a couple of things to come away for this, right? Firstly, the trying Scotsman, can Willie not count to 10? Willie's the fastest maths guy outside of Rachel Riley, by the way, right? Willie's
I'm better looking than her, by the way, as well, before anybody is to say
yes,
it's right. I mean, look at that, look.
Of course you are. Especially in that tank top. And secondly...
Mate, honestly, I loved wearing that tank top. That was so hot.
Lyndon, hi Martin, hope you are well. What's wrong with Lyndon?
Aye, that's unusual. With him?
That is very, very, very unusual. I've also got a super chat for Blue Fox that I'm going to bring in just after we finish up on the defender point. Is the fact that, and look, if Romano comes out, well, he's got so many contacts within the game, so there's got to be truth in it somewhere, right? Does that spell the end for the Connor Cody rumours? Because, and I'll add on top of that, right? We've just said there, so we've got Fernandez, we've got Giga, we've still got John Souttar, we've still got Robin Proper, and we've still got Ben Davies, and we're looking to bring this guy in before Proper or Davies have been sold.
Yeah, I mean, looking from, I mean, the answer would be tough to be yes, unless you're going to carry 5 or 6 centre halves. Now, at the moment, we don't know if we're going to play with a back 4 or a back 5. So at the moment, I mean, if you go with a back 5, you might need that extra centre half. That's all I would say. But I mean, you're right. Like, we do need to get Ben Davies off the books if the manager doesn't feel he's got a future here. But yeah, that's another one of those box ticking exercises. We paid like £3 million for Ben Davies. So I would imagine Rangers would want maybe a couple of million in that back for him, preferably. And he did a good enough job at Birmingham. So I'm sure there is clubs out there that will show interest in him. But yet again, is the wages and the transfer fee too much to ask for him? I would imagine a lot of clubs have shown interest in players that are at Rangers, but it might just be that either Rangers want too much or maybe the wages are just too high for what, you know, these clubs are willing to pay as well. But I mean, we do still have 6-7 weeks left in the transfer window. Obviously, we would like to move these guys on sooner rather than later, but things aren't always that easy.
No, and just this comment here for Paul. Proper, Davies, King, Souttar and Ciala.
Yeah.
That's a mental amount of centre-backs.
Well, that's what I mean, at the moment, if you look at it at the moment, right, Giga, Fernandez and Souttar, they're the 3 who look as though they're going to be here at the start of the season. At the moment, that can obviously change because Souttar could go. But behind that, as Paul's pointing out there, still get 4 guys sitting there that potentially might not have a future at the football club. And yet again, we don't know, like sort of without repeating the chat again, we could play with a back 5. So if we're only carrying 4 centre halves and we end up dropping into a 5, it means that also if only one of those centre halves gets injured, we've only got 1 defender to cover. Yes, we've still got Dujon Sterling to come back, but that's potentially at the end of the year. I mean, that's 6 months away before Sterling might. But I mean, Sterling might not play much this season. Because by the time he comes back from this injury, he's going to have to get minutes in the legs, isn't he? He's going to have to play some bounce games or maybe some games elsewhere. Maybe we need to send him out on loan to get that. So, like, there's so many unanswered questions. You know, like you look at Ridvan, you know, is he going to be somebody that's going to be here? It doesn't look like it. No. Where's Max Aaron's going to play? Obviously, he was utilised at left back in that recent game against Barnsley. Are we going to sign another left back if we do sell Ridvan? Do we need to sign another right back because Tavernier's going to play centre half?
But, so at the moment, right. So see if you add Tav into that centre half,
right?
Possibility, right?
Right.
Right now, on the 15th of July, if you're adding Tav into that, Willie, we've got 8 centre backs at the football club.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, until we actually know what the manager's thinking, because at the moment he's obviously, you know, we've moved guys about a wee bit. I don't think Max Aarons is going to play left back, but he obviously played at left back against Barnsley. James Tavernier, obviously, when he come on against Bruges, come on as a centre half. Now, this might not work out as to what it's going to become the Panathinaikos game or the first league game of the season away at Motherwell. So at the moment, we're kind of up in the air with it. And maybe because we don't have the centre halves that the manager wants in right now, maybe that's why we're using a back four rather than a back five.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, we're kind of like, we're unsure. And it, you know, like the rumours seem to suggest that we're playing at least one, possibly two bounce games this week. Which yet again, I'm not so sure the club are going to publicise that. I mean, I was surprised they actually did like the updates for the Barnsley game, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting nothing for Rangers that day. But I don't imagine they're going to publicise like the potential friendlies that Rangers have got lined up this week.
Unless we win. And then they'll publicise.
I'm not even sure that's the case, to be honest. I think they'll want to keep things as private as they can. They might look at a different formation. They might look at using players in a different way. It might be that Dessers and Egerman are going to get their first minutes of pre-season. You know, it might only be like a 25-minute run out for them, but it's an opportunity to start getting the legs going ahead of what is a massive game against Panathinaikos. I mean, let's get this right. I mean, it's monstrous. I mean, you're only, 8 days away now for this Champions League game? 7-8 days away for a Champions League game? It's crazy. And at the moment, you would have to say, we're probably 3 or 4 players short of where we would like to be, but can we afford to bring these guys in while we're still sitting with so many players sitting doing nothing, who seem as though they're, you know, like not going to be part of the manager's squad? It's, you know, there's so many unanswered questions. It would be interesting if the club maybe do something in the next week or so where, you know, maybe like a Felwell interview comes out or another Russell Martin interview where there's maybe like a more in-depth chat on, you know, where we are in terms of the squad and numbers and how many more we would like to bring in. I'm not saying they're going to explain everything, but at the moment it does feel like we're very top-heavy in terms of players, and the wage bill must just begin up because we're not really moving anybody out the door. So that would be the concern.
Well, Martin has he basically came out, didn't he, and said that anybody that's not at the training camp is not going to feature in the first team. But the problem you've got there is, and I promise you, Blue Fox, I'm coming to your super chat in a wee second. The problem that you've got there is that you've got so many players in and around the football club. The ones who aren't wanted now know are not wanted. Now, if we don't get rid of them, how many times have you seen it that unhappy players, disgruntled players affect the rest of the team? And we're talking about numbers and wages. 8 centre backs, right?
Yeah.
We've also got 3 strikers who one was apparently very, very close to a move to AEK. You've got a abundance of midfielders in there as well. Rangers need to get their skates on and start getting some players out of the building.
Yeah, look, it's been quite a crazy transfer window so far, if I'm totally honest. Yes, we had to bring new players in to help the manager. Everybody could see that. Like, I think that was blatantly obvious. I did think we might have had 1 or 2 more out the door by now, to be honest. And whether it's just because the club have been very strong on what they're looking for and they're not prepared to take less, and they're just going to say to clubs, well, if you don't want to pay that, that's fine, we'll get somebody else to pay it. However, in the meantime, you've maybe got Ben Davies sitting there on 25 grand a week doing very little. You might have Robin Proper sitting there earning 15 grand a week doing very little. You know what I mean? If you start like looking at all these, I mean, see if somebody could actually put it in the comments, like potentially like the list of players that might be going in this transfer window. It might be more than 10 guys here, which is a ludicrous amount of players to try and get out while we've already sort of released some players at the end of their contract. So what was that, like 5 guys that left, 6 guys that left, like under freedom of contract, something like that. And then obviously we've released some of the B team because we don't have the B team anymore. And then we've been linked with Robin Proper moving on, Ridvan moving on, Egerman moving on, Dessers moving on. There was apparently interest in Raskin and Diamande. There's been interest in Souttar. I mean, we're only the 15th of July. We've still to get to like the end of August, start of September for this window to close. It is going to be a crazy next 6 or 7 weeks because we clearly still need to add to the squad as well. We clearly still need to add some wingers. We probably need to add at least 1 more centre half. We probably need to add a left back. Some would argue we need to add a goalkeeper. So, yeah, it's scary when you actually see something to say. I mean, I know in my mind, I know it is 7 or 8 days away, but 7 days is not a long time to get a team ready for a Champions League qualifier against a very good Panathinaikos team. And this is why there's a bit of a fear there. And it's understandable. I totally get it. Because there's so much has changed this summer. We've had new ownership, new director of football. Dan Purdy's come in to oversee the recruitment side of things. We've always had quite a decent turnaround at the training ground, as we've already kind of spoke upon. It's been crazy, in all honesty. And it does feel like every day that passes is just like a day closer to this Champions League game, and it's a day closer to the window closing. And yeah, it is a little bit crazy. But this was how it was always going to be to a point. We were never going to be able to rush through signings. We were never going to be able to...
Gallant said that there. It's the same every single season because we're having to get rid of so many players and bring in so many new faces. But listen, I want to get to this super chat from Blue Fox, and then Spinning Bird Flips having a right go at you, by the way. So I'll let you respond. But first of all
right, okay.
Blue Fox channel member, thank you for the support, my friend. All gone silent on Dio, Raskin, and Hamza. Now, the Dio stuff kind of came and went very quickly. Well, right, so there was never really any real interest in Dio, in my opinion. Raskin's still being looked at for me by clubs, and it just depends if a club's going to come in and make the money. It's the Hamza one. It's the Igaman stuff that seems to be sort of floating about there. Apparently, Leo made a bid yesterday or the day before for 12 million. Rangers have knocked that back. But you heard before that they'd offered more, so I don't know what's going on with Igaman.
Look, it might just be that Rangers have got a figure in mind, and until somebody hits that figure, they'll just continue to knock back offers, whether that is for Dio, Raskin, or Igaman, or for any other player. And you could argue that's how it should have been over the years. Have we turned down bids we shouldn't have done? Like potentially for a Morelos or a Ken or I think it was Barisic we were rumoured to be selling at one point for 5 or 6 million, but he ended up signing a new contract. We can look back at these things and think, we should have cashed in. But I do think you've got to have a value on a player. Igaman's different. He's got 4 years left in his contract. Raskin, with 2 years left in his contract, is slightly different. It's one of those summers where this probably is the right time to cash in on Raskin. If you allow him to run down to his last year, that's a huge risk to take if he decides to not sign a new deal, and then the club could see him walk away for free, which, given his potential value to us as a saleable asset, it doesn't seem the best thing to do, does it, in all honesty?
No, and I couldn't disagree more with Kevin here. Channel member, so I love him, right? But I couldn't disagree more. No one is paying 25 million for Raskin either.
I think the problem you've got with Raskin is, right, you're probably not going to see all of that money as guaranteed money, though.
No.
So you look at it. So, I mean, it might be that Rangers are prepared to take less than that. I don't know. This is just a for instance, right? I'm not saying this is what they could or should do. But if Rangers were prepared to take, say, 15, 18 million for Raskin, however, there's add-ons in that deal that could take it above 20, and there's a reasonable sell-on as part of that deal. Because you look at the money that clubs are making now from sell-on fees. I think it's the lad sort of Gyökeres who's about to move to Arsenal. They're saying that Coventry could be in line for like £4.5 million. Now, they sold him for a reasonable fee as it already was, but now, a couple of years later, they're now banking another £4.5 million for a player. And we've got to look at that potentially with Raskin, with Hamza, with Dio, and maybe any other young player that leaves the football club in the coming years, because these sell-ons and add-on fees, they can be worth a lot of money to football clubs further down the line, and I think that's something that we should be doing a lot more.
Yeah, no, 100% we should. Absolutely. Right, 327 watching on YouTube, only 82 likes. Let's get it to 100. Let's get it to 100 likes. Go for it. Let's see if we can do it. I trust you all. Now, apparently this was sent with Love Willie, spinning bird flip. Spinning bird flips, backtracking a wee bit, right? Willie's math is so good, he knows the square root of F all.
See, to be fair, I mean, there's other people that have said that in the past, so I've no issue. In fact, I would go as far as to say my wife probably tells me that at least once a week. So it's nothing new after 42 years of life, mate, to be honest.
And Paulie's quite intelligent, so she would know.
Exactly. That's why I don't know why she picked me, to be fair. But I mean, that's another thing for another podcast, isn't it? But that's the thing about football. Everybody's always going to have opinions on things. And that's just why we all sort of tune into podcasts or listen to different people. I think the big thing we've got to take out of the transfers that are happening right now, yes, we need to add quality to this squad. That is a given. We need to add width because we really don't have a lot of quality in the wide positions. It's been badly lacking now.
Well, what's happening with Gassama?
I mean, yeah, again, everything seemed to point towards the deal being done yesterday. So whether it is just that, the club are taking their time to announce it, it might be that there's another issue with Sheffield Wednesday. Has something showed up in the medical scans? I mean, you never know. And see, at the end of the day, the club aren't going to come out and announce anything like that, are they? So it probably is just a waiting game. Maybe they're wanting to do a double announcement. Maybe they're wanting to announce him and somebody else. I mean, who knows? We're sort of guessing, aren't we, at the end of the day? But certainly yesterday, when you looked at quite a few of the things that seemed to come out on social media, was that the deal was basically done. He was in Scotland. He was up at the training ground, etc. The Weller Rangers are just making us all wait because they quite enjoy that type of thing. I don't know.
And Beat Bop Boop, great question. As of today, how are you feeling about the first leg in 7 days' time? I must admit, Wally, I'm worried, but I'm worried from the aspect of I'm pessimistic all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I've said this a few times. If Rangers are beating Celtic 3-0 with 10 minutes to go, I'm still sitting there going, there's still 10 minutes to go in this game. So I'm quite a pessimistic guy in general. But obviously with all the upheaval of the squad, a new manager, only played one pre-season friendly in a bounce game. I'm not as confident getting into this game, and we're pretty good in Europe, but I'm not as confident getting into this as I have been in the past. Yeah,
look, there's definitely a nervousness getting into the game, and I'm somebody that's actually quite calm at the games in the main. But yeah, look, there is a nervousness. I think it's just because so much has happened in the last few months. Yes, over the previous summers we have had a lot of ins and outs, but I think this summer felt different because of the ownership change. I think people can see that they are trying to do things in a certain way, but it still makes you feel nervous because the games have come around so quickly and there's not a lot of time to get ready for them. Could we have brought the players back sooner for pre-season? Potentially. But then the players need a break as well, don't they? So it's one of those ones, mate. I'm certainly nervous. I would like to get a couple more wide players in. I think if we can add some width to this team, it would make a really, really big difference to us. Especially wide players that will take on the fullback, get the ball into the box. I feel like that's something we've lacked for so long. Czerny's numbers were excellent. Seema's numbers were excellent, but they weren't our players. So it would be nice to have our own players who are going to help us improve, who are going to make us better, who can be that creative spark in the team. And yet again, I'm also looking forward to seeing some of the new players. I want to see more of Rothwell. I want to see more of Asgard. I want to see Dessers back fit. I want to see Hamza back. And yet again, the fact is we don't really know what this Panathinaikos team's going to be like. They're at the same stage as us in terms of training, aren't they? So I think we'll find out a lot at Ibrox in terms of where the team are and sort of where we need to be. Mm-hmm. But see, as long as we give ourselves a chance to get into that second leg, mate, that's got to be the priority. Because all the pressure is going to fall on Panathinaikos in that away game. Because their crowd's going to have that expectation to knock us out. So if we can go there, be smart, don't do anything silly, stay in the game, you can always get that goal. It's not the same now that you don't have the away goal rule. That was always a big thing in Europe. Sort of losing that kind of takes that away. But yeah, look, it's two almighty games, isn't it? Two huge games to start the season. But look, that's why we pay our money. It's why we go to the football. It's something to be excited about. But yeah, I can understand the nervousness around it because I do feel a bit nervous about it myself, just because we still don't really know enough about the squad, the players, etc., don't we? And that's really the thing at the moment. And because we've seen so little of them in person, we've obviously the TNS game, which was privately kept behind closed doors. The Barnsley game down at St George's Park was basically closed doors. There's talk, as we said earlier, that there's going to be 1 or 2 bounce games this week, which most people aren't going to see. So the first time we're really going to see a Russell Martin 11 is going to be in a massive competitive fixture against Panathinaikos in a Champions League qualifier. Which, yeah, it's no ideal, is it, to be honest with you?
No, it's really not. And Heather's just all in. Heather's going for it. She's get the place rocking next week, troops. I predict a 2-0 win for the famous. She's straight in there.
I love that. Happy. I love the confidence. That's what it's all about, mate. I mean,
I wish I could be that confident.
See, to be fair, I think because we've done so well in Europe in recent years, overall, I think there is always going to be a degree of confidence. But it's just the fact that we're getting in with a lot of guys who played their part in that European run are no longer here. You know, quite a number of those players have now moved on. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting in a little bit blindsided to a point because we still don't really know, as I say, we don't know how the manager's going to set up. We don't really know how we're going to play. Russell Martin's never coached in Europe, which yet again is a bit of a concern against these type of teams. You know, Panathinaikos are a very experienced European team. I'm sure they'll have all the black arts in play, the slowing the play down, the diving, etc. And we need to be smart on the night because, I mean, like, if you actually look at Fernandes won't have played in Europe. You know, Asgard obviously hasn't done that either. I don't think Rothwell has. So, like, there's a lot of inexperienced bodies getting into these games, and it will certainly be interesting to see what the starting 11 is, even if we do add 1 or 2 more players before then, which I'm sure we will.
Aye, we need to get some games into them as well.
We do, mate, and that's definitely the key between now and then is the games. 100%. That's
get a couple of games in there. Get a couple of games in there. Martin, are you doing a watch along for Panathinaikos? Of course. Watch along for every single Rangers game if you are a member, Paul.
Unless he's actually at the game, obviously, then it'll be somebody else who'll be doing the watch along.
Well, it'll be Alex that's doing it. Alex is the watch along king, you see, Wally.
Okay.
Yes, he's the watch along king. Folks, that will do us for today. You all know when it's me and Wally, then that's just cut that right there and there's some audio for you. When it's me and Wally Irwin, it's never half an hour. Never.
Yeah.
And I blame Wally. It's all Wally's fault, to be fair.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough.
Yes. But we shall leave it there. William, thank you very much, my friend.
No, it was good. It's always good to chat. Good to see all the different opinions in the chat as well. That's why we're all here. We're all going to feel differently about different players and how we feel ahead of these big games. But that's why we all support Rangers into it. We're excited. We're ready to go for the Panathinaikos game. So, 7 days' time before the fun begins.
Oh, God, it's going to be a long season. I blame you, Martin. Most people do, Lyndon. To be fair, most people do. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for all the support that we've been getting. The numbers are going through the roof. It's absolutely crazy. So hopefully that continues into the season. Please make sure that you do leave a like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on Facebook, follow on Twitter and share and all that good stuff. I'm back into putting the clips out as well. So you've got clips across all these socials as well. So a big thank you to Wally. That's going to get clipped. A big thank you to everybody watching. And for members, we are back tonight, 7 p.m. for your midweek members show. I will be at Fir Park. Oh, Fir Park. To watch Motherwell against Peterhead. I'm not a fan, Wally. I'm not a fan. Anyway, folks, I will let you go. Enjoy.
I mean, like your brother is playing in the game, so you do need to have a level of enthusiasm that your brother's going to be playing a top flight team in Scotland.
Listen, I'll have the Peterhead scarf on, singing whatever songs it is that Peterhead fans sing. I'll learn them and I'll sing them.
I think you've got to take a picture of this and then put it up on the Rabble members page. I think everybody wants to see that desperately. In fact, if anybody is in the Motherwell area tonight, get along to the game and go to the Peterhead game, the away end, sit with Martin and his family. You can have a good sing song.
Well, basically, all my family are gone.
There you go.
But here, I'll tell you all before I go. So, I'm the nugget that had to sign up to the Motherwell website. I've now got a Motherwell customer number, right?
Nice.
And of course, so all my family are going, oh, did you get locked on? See, if I just send you over the money, could you buy me a ticket? I've bought about 8 tickets. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway,
So here's
folks,
hoping your
go
brother
and
plays
enjoy.
well when he gets the goal.
I hope so. I hope Muller will get beat, basically. That's fine. I hope that every week, regardless of who they're playing, bar maybe one team. Or maybe 2. But yeah. Right, listen, Wally, shushed. That's us done. We're leaving. We're finished. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. And yeah, we'll speak as ever very, very soon.